A journey through China from the national highways to the motorways of Inner Mongolia. Travel has a way of changing us. Sometimes, it's in subtle ways, like the shift in our perspective when we see a sunset in a new land. Other times, the transformation is profound, echoing in every part of our being. My recent trip from Beijing to Inner Mongolia and back again, via two very different roads, the national highway on the way there and the motorway on the return, was one of those journeys that touched every corner of my mind and heart. It was a journey not just across space, but across contrasts, across China's soul, raw and rugged on one hand, polished and visionary on the other. As a traveler, a foreigner, and a humble admirer of China's ever-unfolding grandeur, I was both a witness and a participant in a beautiful tale written in roads, mountains, tunnels, rest stops, and warm-hearted people. Setting out, the pull of Inner Mongolia. As I stood at the edge of Beijing, with my motorcycle humming beneath me, the sense of anticipation was almost overwhelming. I chose to take the national highway instead of the faster, smoother motorway. It wasn't a decision of convenience, it was one of curiosity. National highways in China are alive. They are veins that connect villages and cities, flowing with the stories of people carrying the history and daily life of the land. Riding through them is like reading a handwritten book of 1,000 authors. Every curve, every roadside stall, every old truck and weathered gas station holds something human. The further I rode from Beijing, the more I could feel the urban tempo dissolve. The city's rhythm faded into something calmer, slower, older. My surroundings turned more rural, but no less majestic. I passed farmers working their fields, vendors selling local fruit, and kids waving at me from the roadside. The roads weren't always perfect. There were bumps, uneven patches, and dusty intersections, but they carried a heartbeat. The heartbeat of real, everyday China. What struck me was the sense of connectedness. Though I was far from home, on roads I had never traveled, I never felt out of place. Strangers smiled. Shopkeepers nodded in welcome. The language barrier was there, but the warmth broke it down easily. I stopped frequently, not because I needed to, but because I wanted to. Each rest break offered a story. An old man selling sunflower seeds, a young couple traveling with their baby, a retired soldier who still wore his cap with pride. I listened more than I spoke. I observed more than I interfered. It was in those moments that I felt both foreign and familiar, a guest, but also part of something shared. Arrival, the wild beauty of Inner Mongolia. Crossing into Inner Mongolia felt like entering a different world. The landscape changed dramatically. Vast grasslands stretched to the horizon, dotted with herds of sheep and the occasional white yurt. The air felt cleaner, lighter, and carried the scent of earth and wind. There's something humbling about wide open spaces. They make you feel small, but not in a diminished way. Small in a way that connects you to something greater. As I rode across those open plains, I wasn't just a man on a motorcycle. I was a speck on the map of nature, a moving piece of a vast, breathing canvas. The people in Inner Mongolia welcomed me with the same warmth I had felt along the national highway. Many of them live close to nature, and their hospitality comes from the heart. I stayed in a local guest house, ate homemade noodles, and listened to traditional Mongolian music. Under the stars, there were moments of quiet solitude too. I would sit near hell with nothing but the wind and sky and let my thoughts wander. I thought about how far I had come, not just in kilometers, but in experience. Traveling like this wasn't just about reaching a destination. It was about shedding layers of routine, noise, and digital noise to find something more raw and real. Returning, the marvel of China's motorways. When it was time to return to Beijing, I decided to take a different route. This time, I chose the motorway, the modern, fast-paced counterpart to the national highway. I didn't expect the journey back to be so emotional. I thought I had seen the best of the trip. I was wrong. The Chinese motorway system is a wonder of the modern world. I had heard people praise it, but seeing it, riding on it, was something else entirely. The first thing that struck me was the smoothness of the road. My motorcycle seemed to glide effortlessly. There were no sudden bumps or unmarked potholes. Everything felt designed for comfort, for precision, and for safety. Every detail, from the clearly marked lanes to the frequent signs, spoke of care and thoughtfulness. What truly impressed me was the infrastructure. I passed through tunnels that stretched over 5 kilometers, perfectly lit and ventilated. These tunnels cut through mountains like veins of ambition, showing China's incredible engineering capabilities. As I passed through them, I felt like I was riding through time, seeing the future being built in the present. Outside the tunnels, the mountain landscapes were breathtaking. I lost count of the number of times I slowed down, not because of traffic, there was none, but because the beauty demanded my attention. The mountains were dressed in green, with occasional outcrops of rock. The sky was endlessly blue, the clouds drifting lazily above. But what made the motorway truly feel alive was the rest areas. They weren't just places to stretch your legs. They were small cities, clean, modern, fully equipped with restaurants, shops, clean restrooms, fuel stations, EV charging points, and even cultural displays. Each rest stop felt like a mini resort. Some had gardens, playgrounds, and even quiet rooms for meditation or prayer. It wasn't just infrastructure, it was hospitality on the road. Feelings along the way, freedom, wonder, and gratitude. Throughout the journey, I felt something I rarely feel in the hustle of daily life: freedom. Freedom to stop, to explore, to feel, to breathe. Freedom to make decisions based on beauty and curiosity, not on the ticking of the clock. There were times when I felt deep wonder at how China has managed to build such massive, efficient, and clean transportation systems, at how people drive with care, following rules, showing respect for the road and for each other, at how nature and infrastructure coexist so harmoniously in many areas. Most of all, I felt gratitude. Gratitude for the ability to travel, to experience this part of the world in such a profound way. Gratitude for the kindness of strangers, for the serenity of mountains, for the artistry of a well-made road, and for the silent moments that let me reflect on how beautiful this life really is when we take the time to observe it. Ideas that sparked along the road. This journey made me think not just about roads and travel, but about human potential. 1. Infrastructure is more than construction. It's about dignity, access, and inclusion. Good roads bring people together. They build trust. They allow economies to grow. The motorways I saw in China were not just pieces of concrete. They were statements of vision and progress. 2. Nature is still our best teacher. Whether it was the silent hills of Inner Mongolia or the rivers weaving alongside the motorway, nature reminded me to slow down, to pay attention, to respect cycles bigger than myself. 3. Balance is possible. My journey began with a rugged, real national highway and ended with a modern, clean motorway. Both were beautiful in their own way. It reminded me that life doesn't have to be either or. It can be both, raw and refined, old and new, traditional and innovative. 4. The world is kinder than we think. On both roads, I encountered nothing but kindness. People helped me when I looked lost. They offered food, directions, and sometimes just a friendly smile. In a world often divided by news and fear, it was healing to experience such simple, shared humanity. Back in Beijing, a changed person. When I finally returned to Beijing, I wasn't just back in the city, I was back in my life. The traffic returned, the schedules resumed, the phone buzzed again, but I had changed. I had carried something back with me, a piece of the road. I found myself smiling more. I took detours on purpose. I started paying more attention to the details of the city, the way the light hits a building at dusk, the old man watering plants outside his shop, the delivery guy waving to his friend across the street. Traveling reminds us of the wonders we miss in everyday life. And though I couldn't spend every day on the road, I realized I could carry the road within me. Every weekend, every short escape, every new alley or old path became an extension of that long journey. Final thoughts, love letter to China's roads. I want to say this from my heart, I love China's roads, not just because they are well built or scenic, but because they reflect something deeper, a nation that believes in progress, in beauty, in connection. To those who are dreaming of exploring China, I say, go, ride, see. Whether it's on a motorcycle, a car, or even on foot, you will find not just places, but stories. You will find a country that is welcoming, vibrant, and filled with hidden wonders. To those who live here and feel caught in the rush of life, I say, take the weekend. Take the detour. Take the moment. The road is waiting. The mountains are calling. The motorways are whispering stories of steel and dreams. And to the roads themselves, thank you. Thank you for carrying me. Thank you for teaching me. Thank you for being more than a way. Thanks for your love.